Welcome to the Stripped Podcast. This is your host, Allison Lassard. Let's get into it. What are we doing? No, seriously. Why are we on the hamster wheel, grinding, hustling, burning through all of our energy, blood, sweat, tears? For what? I was with my sister at the hospital. She just had a baby this week, and my heart literally cracked open. I feel like I had a huge breakthrough. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Maybe we've been getting it all wrong. Maybe we're missing the point. Maybe we're getting away from the plot. All right, let's dive in. But first, I need my triple espresso. Okay, so in the spirit of imperfection, I have a mic cover that looks like a condom that's too big. It's giving oversized magnum. So this is my new setup. I'm just trying to not spit in the mic. All right. Hakta. Let's get into this. In all seriousness, I put a really sweet post on Instagram last night. I'm just pulling up my notes so I don't get off track today. I'm not really using notes, but like bullet points help me. I put a really sweet post on Instagram because I just felt very, I don't know, hormonal, emotional, sentimental. What's really cool about newborn babies is that they're so pure. Like you just look at them and you think, oh my God, who is this little human going to become? Like, why did they incarnate? Why are you back? Um, and it's just very raw. I don't know how else to explain it. I've never been around for any of my other nieces' births. So this is the first time that I've been here for the newborn phase, but I'm not going to get into all that. What I want to talk about today is the fact that because the baby is a boy, it really got me thinking because I've had a lot of men lately in my orbit coming forward, you know, coming for advice or just to listen or sharing breakthroughs. And these are men like clients, friends, family, personal connection, like people that I've known for over 10 years, men specifically, who are just having these massive heart openings, deep transformations, spiritual awakenings. And for some reason, when I was holding that baby, like I said, I posted some pics on IG. Well, a picture and then the carousel of thoughts about this. But for some reason, when I was holding that baby, I had this like huge download, this huge, almost like, I don't know, they talk about in near death experiences where you suddenly see your whole life flash before your eyes. I had this strange thing where I was like seeing this baby all grown up. And then I was thinking about all these men that I was working with and talking to and my friends and the people that are closest to me and how much I've watched them grow just by being loved. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect by any means. I'm just saying there's something that happens. And I know that a lot of women don't have reference points for this. And that's part of the reason why I want to share this. This isn't just for men, but the fact that I saw a woman on Threads the other day saying, why aren't any of the men doing any of the work? Why does the divine feminine, I'm using this voice because that was how I was kind of receiving her post. Why? Because it felt frustrated. Why does a divine feminine have to lead the way? Like, why is it up to women? Why are we doing all of the emotional labor? I just want to stop you right there. I get it. I totally get it. Our mothers we're not role modeling unconditional love or their mothers or the women before them because most people were not in a state, whatever, societally, emotionally, mentally, to have the bandwidth to do it. And a lot of times when I see these conversations in the polarity community about women who are frustrated thinking that men are not doing any work, I want to like scream into the void because I work with a lot of men. And I've been working with them for a really long time. And not just clients, like I said, some family members, other personal, more intimate connections of mine, like things that are happening that are slow and steady. And the transformation that can happen when a woman and this goes both ways, but I'm just using context of this story today of like the men and my nephew and this whole full circle moment that came to me. It's like when a woman loves generously and unconditionally, Like men rise to the occasion. Men blossom. Somebody's got to go first, you guys. If you look at the polarity intimacy community, conscious relationship community, and again, I understand there's a lot of angry women, there's a lot of angry men, like there's a lot of angry people, but I understand women are incredibly frustrated because number one, they don't have any maybe context in their life of healthy men, or they have not experienced through their own embodiment, their own lived experience, a man transforming through their love. They've either never done it before, they don't know how. So it's like a foreign language. So I understand that women are like, what the fuck are we doing all the work for? Ladies, you're not doing all the work, number one. Number two, if we're creating a new paradigm of relating, which we are, you guys. If we're here, if you're on my channel, if you're even listening to this, we are here to learn to love people. I really had this, I don't know, like I said, breakthrough moment holding my nephew where I was like, what am I doing? Like all these years of rat race and you're just like climbing, proving, achieving, hustling, work. I'm like, what if the point is to just learn how to love people and to be loved? Like, what if, just saying, what if that is the legacy for some of us? I've been on this journey for a long time and I've been out of my corporate job for over a decade and I've worked my ass off. And there have been many moments where I'm like, what's the point? Like, success on paper and so like, what if you have no one to share it with? What if you've ruined all your, intimate relationships and burned every bridge because you're so obsessed with being successful, quote unquote, on paper? What about your intimate life? What about love? What about love? So, in the context of this woman talking on Threads, talking about women are always doing the work, guys, somebody's got to go first. If we're creating a new paradigm, who's doing it? Who's leading? If the women are the ones in many cases who seem to be, I don't think it is like this, but I'm just saying, let's just look at it in a linear way. Let's say that women look like they're doing more of the spiritual growth and more of the hard work and more of the emotional labor. And why should we be generous when men ain't doing shit? And why should we give when men just take and take and take and take and take? Babes, I'm so sorry that you're having that experience because I've been there. But what I want to say is that you just haven't experienced men who have been transforming in this way yet. It's like it's like you don't speak Mandarin Chinese, but that doesn't mean that other people aren't fluent in it and that it's not like someone's first language. So men are awakening. And a lot of times I think that the way it looks to your naked eye or to your egoic mind, like you're not seeing the whole picture. What if men in your life need to appear, between quotations, behind you, that you feel like you're superior somehow, you feel like you're more evolved? What if it just looks that way because you need to also pave a new path and you're the one that whatever received the nudge first? So what? But because we've been so conditioned to tit for tat, um, I owe you, you give, you expect something in return. You want something for your love. You're not just giving to be generous because we have no role models, you guys. Who role modeled? I love my parents dearly, and I have an amazing family, and I feel very loved. But I'm just saying, we all have parents who are human beings, who are going through struggles, who had human beings as parents, who were going through struggles. And a lot of the generations before, let's say Gen X slash millennial, and then moving into Gen Z here, we have more resources and more capacity to, like they say in Buddhism, live a life of leisure, AKA you have time to spiritually practice. You have the luxury to wake up. And so if it appears that men are behind you, sister, you might be incorrect, is all I'm saying. So I've always been the type of girl that had more guy friends than girlfriends when I was growing up. I lived with guys in college. I was in a house with three guys, my junior and my senior year, different guys. I've just always, I don't know, I've always been like that. I've had more guy friends. So I've gotten the opportunity. I've been very blessed to get to know men very intimately emotionally and see all their soft spots and their vulnerabilities and their weaknesses and their fears. And I feel like I have that insider perspective, you know, and that's really valuable because for the women out there who are frustrated and feel like they're doing all the work, it might be your path to go first. So keep going. What if we're here to actually learn to love people, to be loved and deeply love? So I'm just going to give a little more context here. Again, I've been out of my corporate job where I was not paying any attention to any of this spiritual growth, meditation, whatever. The whole spiritual path to me was like not really a thing. I was too busy being business Barbie, and that I was. And I wore that fucking skirt suit like a boss. I was strutting around on those hotel floors, clickety clack, with my 5-inch high heels and my pencil skirts. And I really thought that was the way, I really thought that was my future. And so by the time I made it to like an executive level and I was fucking drained of my life force and miserable, I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? What is the point of life? To clickety clack in the basement of a 5-star hotel with no sunshine and no windows. And by the way, in these luxury hotels, a lot of times the offices are in the basement. So, yes, I was not seeing sunlight. I was surrounded by very wealthy people. It was beautiful, but my soul felt empty. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people. I wanted to help people be well. And then, thus started my career in health and wellness. And then it sort of evolved into much more of a spiritual path. And now here we are, many moons later, almost 20 years. So if we're here to create a new paradigm, who's leading? You don't know yet, if you haven't experienced it, the power of love. As cheesy as it sounds, Huey Lewis said it first. Huey Lewis in the News, which is the story my dad has told 1,600 times because he met him backstage live at a concert at the Warwick Tent in Rhode Island back when that existed. And we will never stop hearing about it. The power of love. You don't know how powerful it is until you actually experience it firsthand. In watching the men in my world evolve through simply being witnessed, not judged, not told what to do, not controlled, not fixed. I didn't have an agenda. I found it easier to connect with men. This has been my path. I've had a lot of feminine healing to do because my path hasn't been easy with women. It's been easier with men. So a lot of women come in, especially women on this path, conscious relating, etc., and they work with only women and they have big girl gangs of women, and that's beautiful. And at times I was jealous. I'm like, I wish I had a big girl gang, but I didn't. But what I did have was a different perspective with men. And now I feel like a lot of my work is bridging the gap because I see from both sides. I also work with a lot of same-sex couples that are women, not so much men. Women come to me to work on their partnerships with women. So I just think it's interesting. You know what I mean? I want to bridge the gap and show women that, number one, like, men need to be unconditionally loved too. And if you feel like it's a burden and you feel like it's too much work, but you expect it and demand that in return, you have work to do. I hate to admit it. That's been my work too. How can I give in a way that's generous without conditions? It's been some of the hardest work I've ever done personally. It's also been some of the most rewarding. I sent out an email this week because I was getting messages from like male clients of mine who have been with me for like 10 years. And one of them is getting married, and he came to me and he was like completely the opposite. I talked about it in my newsletter if you get my emails. He was super anxiously attached. He was like desperate. He wanted to meet someone so bad. He didn't think he was enough. He kept trying to change the way he looked, the way he dressed, the way he spoke, the way he presented, his job. He was like, maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to make more money. Maybe I need to grow. And over time, I worked with him many times, one-to-one. He started to pull back. He started to focus on himself. He started to focus on his career, but like not in a way that he felt he wasn't good enough, but really following his joy, which was leadership. And he works with kids and at a school. And he was just like, okay, I think I want to, whatever, grow in that way, be a guidance counselor, maybe be a principal. Then he started a meditation group at his school. And that blew up. It started with like 3 people. It ended up being like 50 something people. Right. And then he leaned off the dating apps and he started to just like focus on himself and really nourishing his path and finding his joy. And then he started doing like plant ceremony stuff with rape. Is that what it's called? Not super familiar, but anyway, he's on his path. And then here we are, almost a decade later, he finally met someone and now they're engaged. And he sent me a message like, guess what? We're getting married. And another one of my clients was like, oh my God, I'm just so grateful I stuck in for the long haul. He just did the purification challenge that I ran, the 30-day Buddhist practice. And I don't know, I just started having this wave of emotion of like, I mean, these are not my kids, right? These are grown men, but I'm just saying when you mentor people and you get to be with people for really long, extended periods of time. And I love that, by the way. That's like the part of my work that's the most fulfilling is to like watch you guys grow. I don't have kids. So, and again, I'm an auntie, right? And I love being an auntie so much. It's actually amazing. It is awesome. But it's different. I'm not a parent. So my work has been the closest thing to like parenthood, even though it's not that, because you guys are all, individual human, you're all adults. But it feels like kind of like I get it. You know what I mean? I see you guys growing, transforming, and it's taking time and you're doing the work. And it's just like, I don't know. I was holding my nephew and I just had that moment of like, damn, like, what do people really need? Like, people just want to be loved. And like I said, I think having the blessing of all of these amazing men around me that are growing and quote unquote doing the work. I feel like I have to talk about it too because I feel that maybe women don't see it as much or you see it but it feels unreachable or maybe you're seeing certain couples online but it feels like so far from where you're at. Like maybe you just can't relate or you're like that looks good for them but like how the hell am I going to do that or do you know what I mean? And so I just wanted to put it out there that maybe your legacy is not this like achievement based thing. Maybe it's not checking off all these boxes. It's almost like sometimes I felt like it was like, what the fuck am I chasing? When I found Buddhism and they're like, guess what? Your happiness is not in the fucking job or the partnership or whatever. Because if it were, it would bring you permanent happiness. But what happens? We reach a goal. We're insatiable. We want another one and another one. It's never enough. We get the partnership, then we find 1,000 things that's wrong with them. And then we want something different. And then we want something else. The only time we're going to actually be happy is when our mind is free from suffering. I mean, I do believe that. And that's enlightenment. You're free from suffering. So it's like, how do we get there? Well, I mean, in Buddhism, there's a path out. They have very specific steps. So I'm following those steps. But my point is, I had a huge heart opening in that moment. I was holding my nephew because I felt like, again, it's the first boy. It's the only one I've been here for the birth, which is interesting that it's a boy and it's the only one that I'm actually here for from the genesis of it all. Um, and it really made me think, wow, what is life? What are we doing here? Why are we all racing to some whatever arbitrary destination? And then what? Because I had to lose everything to have some of these realizations, to really appreciate people and to really love and to really lean into this like slow burn. Because like I said, my clients, for example, have been working with me for like 10 years. It wasn't fast. Like the spiritual path's really like a slow burn most of the time. And it can feel very humbling and very not gratifying. Almost like you put in all this work and you're like, where are my flowers? When am I getting mines? Where's my prize? I want a gold star. And I think that's been the thing for me that's been so powerful. It's like you might not get that gold star in the way you're thinking, or it may not come right away. But I've noticed that loving people in this way, like unconditionally, I see it like you're like a lighthouse. You're lit. It sounds cheesy, but hear me out. You're like a lighthouse. You're there. You are shining. You're not always perfect. Sometimes the clouds get in the way. Maybe sometimes you feel a little foggy or a little bit depleted. But ultimately, love that's like a lighthouse, that's rooted, that's grounded. It can be stormy. It can, chaos can be swirling around you, but you're just there loving. This has been the thing that I've seen as the medicine. Like, why do these men trust me and they keep coming back over and over and the sharing and opening and it's like people just need to be loved, and we need to learn how to let people love us. And I really feel like that. Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, what's my legacy? Because I will be real. I've been out of my corporate job, like I said, for a really long time, like almost like 15 years by now. And my business has been very up and down, in all ways, financially, like the numbers, just the analytics. Like it's been really tough. It's been good some years, really like shit some years. It's been a roller coaster. And I feel that part of that is because number one, I had to learn how to let go of my attachment to that path as like the way to happiness or my purpose. Like your purpose may not be monetary. Your purpose may not be a bunch of achievements on a piece of paper. Your purpose might be being a parent, loving, or various other unglamorous, not flashy, not loud ways of being in the world. Maybe it's to be more compassionate. Maybe that's your path. And I hate to say it because it's not acceptable. Like in our world, it's like material things are God to people. And they really see that if you have quote unquote nothing to show for it, your work, your time, your effort, you're a fucking flop. You're a loser. But guess what? I had to flop so many times. I had to quote unquote lose. I had to lose things, people, money, my my pride, my identities, my ego. Like a lot of those things had to get slammed around. I had to get slapped around a little bit by the universe. Like, no, bitch, let it go, or we're going to fucking rip it out of your hands because you're grasping to things that aren't actually meant for you or are not going to bring you any fulfillment at all. They're going to bring you problems. So I had to learn the hard way, as most of us do. The realizations come at rock bottom. The realizations come when you don't have anything else to cling to. Unfortunately, I think like really learning to appreciate and love people in this way, it doesn't necessarily come easily, but I think it's some of the most valuable work, quote unquote, that I've ever done. In fact, I saw a video about Nick Cave. I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a singer, and he tragically lost two sons, um, both of them, and in very weird, strange ways, sad tragedies. And he was talking about hope in this video, that like sometimes you don't find hope until you've hit rock bottom or you've had to go through unbelievable pain. But the power of hope over cynicism, over not believing in anything, it's so powerful. And I've watched people in my life who have lost so much, or they had a big dream and it flopped, or they took a risk and it just didn't turn out the way that they wanted it to, and it's devastating at first. But if they hadn't gone through those things, their heart wouldn't have opened. And I felt my heart just cracking open when I was holding my nephew, being like, what is life? Like, what are we doing? Why are we so lost in the stuff, in the fucking white noise, in the things, in the right? Oh my God, my purpose has to be making seven figures. Listen, if your purpose, quote unquote, includes lots of money or a lot of visibility, or you have a huge public profile or whatever, that's fine. Like everyone's path is unique. I was feeling in this moment, I've worked so hard and I've worked my butt off and I have worked my fucking ass off. But there have been times when I'm like, what do I have to show for it? Because maybe in a conventional way, I don't have a lot to show for my work. But then I think about the thousands of people, for example, here on this channel that would write me emails, beautiful emails. I left an abusive marriage. I did this. I did that. I changed my life. Thank you for my free videos of me with a $5 whiteboard and markers from Walmart, just sharing. Or my nieces who are like, Auntie, I love you. And you're like, or being here for my parents as they're getting older, or whatever, giving a helping hand to somebody, or giving a homeless person a free meal. Like, you're just like, what if this is the point? What if this is it? And everything else is just kind of noise. It's like clouds in the sky, but you know, So that's what I was feeling today. I don't want to make this a super long episode. I really just felt like that anecdote. And like I said, watching men transform through love has been unbelievably powerful. I was just checking the time. And I really feel like for some of us, the legacy is to love. It's to love and be loved. Like I said, to allow yourself to be loved is so vulnerable. It's so raw, especially when you feel like a failure, especially when you're not at your best. But those are the times when we need the unconditional love the most. And most of us don't know how to unconditionally love people yet. We're just not there yet. We haven't practiced. We've got to practice. And how do you practice? It's usually through inconvenience, like inconvenient situations, situations that aren't perfect, the times when you have to love people when they aren't being kind or when they aren't available for you or when, do you know what I mean? Like the circumstances are not ideal. But then it's like love people anyway. Let yourself be loved anyway. Just the amount of, like I said, transformation that I'm seeing from this has been so profound. It's really opening my eyes. I'm not saying I haven't had these thoughts in the past, but for some reason this week it really hit me hard. So that's it, y'all. Happy Sunday. I got to go to my big Italian family dinner. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Whatever the pizza song is. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. I don't know what the tune is. Sorry. Sorry, my bee. Actually, it's this one. Hold on. Hold on. If you know, you know. Ready? Woke up this morning. All right, I gotta go eat pasta. I love you guys. Um, I will see you on the next one. If you have any thoughts, drop them below. If they're kind and cool, don't be a dick. I'll see you guys on the next one. Ciao.